Sometimes I think y'all be cussing.
I be cussing, and we are live. We're gonna wait for a few people to get their eyes on what we're doing.
Oh Lord, we live already?
What
we
up,
are
man?
live already.
What it do, man?
Man, after watching that malarkey,
Man, some bullshit tough is what it was.
Yeah,
My
I need to.
Wait, what setup y'all want to go with? Y'all want to go with the tight?
Go back.
I got yeah, that's
right
cool right there. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a nice look. Hey, bro, when he called that motherfucker Abraham Lincoln, I bust out in the crib. Now he called Abraham Lincoln,
Bruh.
boy.
I knew where he was going when he said that. I said,
I did not.
That damn vein started popping up on his head. I said, Joe Biden gonna cuss or he gonna go slap the shit out of Trump about 10 seconds.
He called it.
I thought that the dude was having a senile moment. I was like, baby, Shallon, did he just call this man Abraham Lincoln?
I knew where he was going.
Yeah, I knew he was doing. It was so like when you realize like this fool talking about he done did both. He said he the least racist. He said he the least racist person in the room. I'm like, damn, dude, this motherfucker got a racism ruler or something. Like,
but when you said that, so that means you said you are racist. You said you're the least racist in the room.
You got a racism fit.
Hey, look. I done seen some racists. And I'm not racist.
Right.
Me comparing myself to racists, I'm not racist.
Right, like that motherfucker with that robe on right there and that pointed hat, he racist.
That's
Me, I'm not a racist. I'm a proud boy.
I'm the least racist person in the room.
Hey, look, he didn't call as Biden didn't call him proud boy. He said poor boys.
Yeah, I heard him say poor boy.
He thinking about a goddamn sandwich.
He want to be in the room.
Biden came to fight tonight.
He tried to get him a caffeine po' boy.
Look, Biden came to fight tonight. He was mad. He gets oh God. I like Biden gonna cuss. He gonna cuss. Is that Chloe?
He still has some signal moments.
Are we live? Like we on Facebook?
Yeah, we live, bro. It's like
on Facebook. Hey, Chloe, we want to see your face.
Shit. Why I can't share this shit on Facebook? Black with No Choice.
I thought I put it on there. Hold on.
No, it ain't on Black. No, I'm sitting on there. I'm trying to say. I'm trying to share this motherfucker.
Share it from the Nightcap page.
Where is it?
Nightcap Knowledge.
I was still on Nightcap, Chuck.
There's no way we can't be on Nightcap.
Where are we live from?
We are live. We're on. I see it right here. All right, hold on. Yeah, we definitely had some senile moments. I thought there was some senile moments on there.
I think he kept things he wanted to say, then he kept rephrasing them in his head. Because he's known for saying some shit and it don't come out right. In his mind, he knew what he wanted to say, but when it hit his mouth, it come out totally different. He kept stopping himself like, wait, no, I'm not gonna say it like that. Then he said, no, what I am gonna say that.
Which one you talking about?
What that?
Which person did that?
When he talked about Rudy Giuliani, he said, well, no, I'm not gonna say that. No, I am gonna say that. He was like, man, fuck it. I'm gonna say it. This is the last debate. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there.
I think, yeah, man. I think he handled his business tonight. Like that was certainly the most impressive version of Joe Biden in the form of debate that I have seen. He seemed well prepared. He addressed the issues directly. I think that the moderator was much more in charge of it. So shout out to her for handling that shit. I mean, and she was the star of the show tonight to me. But I guess we'll get into that in just a moment. Un momento.
Poor favor.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm ready to rock. We ready to rock. You know what I'm talking about. So
all right, Coy, you want to get some early comments in?
Yeah, I'm trying to fix my camera stand because nobody really told me about this, and they just.
That means you never watched the show. It's okay.
No, I know the Tuesday show, the drinking show. So
I think every show is a drinking show.
Every show.
no, that show definitely drinking.
Like,
So do I need to drink? I said I was gonna drink something tonight because I hadn't drank in a while, and I said, but then I started eating ice cream and stuff. I said, no, I don't need to mix with ice cream.
Hey, listen, you might want to get loose because this black.
No, he don't need.
No.
Hey, there's gonna be some no chaser up in here along with this nightcap.
Chloe's like me. We found out years ago between me and Tony. Tony get drunk and he gonna say anything. I have a drink, I'm calmer. Chloe's like that. He be calmer. As long as you don't give his ass no scotch, we be in trouble. He got scotch. He finna
I'm trying to share. Man, listen, if y'all watching this shit right now, you sharing it because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. We got a few shares.
We would like to do. We want you to share the shit out of this. Right.
Where's your cup, CJ? Don't be cat.
Man, I ain't got no cup, man. I ain't got no cup. I do have a cup, but I don't know what feel right now. I
got his nightlight in the background.
Yeah, damn.
I'm waiting for Uncle Nearest to holler at us, man. When Uncle Nearest holler at us, then
he got that bright ass light in the background.
He got backlight. He got backlight.
I got that backlight.
Got that
Matt got the Uncle Nearest on deck.
Man, I ain't had no
straight up, it'll get you right. Yeah, man. Shit.
All right. We are shared on. Hold on, let me double check that. And then I need to go get me.
Chuck.
I ain't got to get up or nothing. I mean, y'all get jobs,
I'm gonna be in the bed by 12 o'clock tonight. I swear. I promise.
Yeah. By 12.
I promise.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, most times I don't get in there about 2 or 3. Black Tyson have me working.
Man, look, bro.
Damn t-shirt. I know folks like, I ain't got my damn t-shirt yet. Shit, you in the queue.
What up, Seeker? Can you do y'all share the messages on here when people you see what Seeker right now? What up, Seek? You probably it must be on my
Tyson ain't going to bed.
Chuck me live from his damn live.
Oh.
Tyson say he going to bed.
Bye, Tyson.
We'll go to bed. Good night. Shit, if you're tired, go.
Y'all talking about the debate, strictly, or what we talking about?
Well, I mean, we're gonna do a debate. Yeah, we can start off with that.
That wasn't a debate, man. That just made me nervous. I was just nervous the whole because dude kept interrupting, and I started yelling at the TV. Then my kids started looking at me. I could cut his fucking mic off. He's just yelling, and every time they asked Joe something, he had to damn respond. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? First of all, I wouldn't have done a debate because you just giving him a chance to redeem himself, right? So that strategically to me, that was horrible. I would have not talked to him at all. Just let him waller in whatever he was doing and just finish committing suicide, right? But I don't know if Joe was getting flustered and he was.
I think Joe did a damn good job because there's no way in hell I could have stayed up there and listened to the shit that was coming out of his mouth. And he kept attacking that man's family. I know all 4 of us our ass would have been escorted off by security. You said one more goddamn thing about my child.
Well, first of all, keep my son's name out your motherfucking mouth.
You got one more time to say that name. Yeah, one more time.
But this
whole goddamn stage up.
The damn Donald Trump know everything about everybody else motherfucking bank account except his own.
Except for his.
That motherfucker get he get the him at home when you ask him about what's going on with his dollars.
But so let me ask you a question. Everybody been paying taxes. How do you prepay taxes? I hadn't figured it out. I'm gonna
try that next week. I promise I'm gonna try that next week because I got some taxes that I owe for this year that I'm gonna prepay.
Right, like I'm gonna prepay.
Like a prepaid phone. Right, like a prepaid phone.
Legal. That they used to be trying to sell in the barbershop.
Hey, Now I looked that up. I did look that up. I was like, damn, I didn't even know you could prepay taxes. So you know me, I'm like, all right, before I start talking about some shit, I need to go and research it.
Right.
So it's like you can estimate.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can, but motherfucker, you couldn't even remember if you had a corona test.
Right.
But you
So
said
you can remember how much dollars that you paid or you prepaid in taxes.
He said, as soon as I can get my tax information to you, nigga, you could have got your tax information to us in 2015. Talk about it.
Still being audited. Hey,
Come on, man.
He's still being audited. He put them hands up. Them hands go up. He said, "I'm still being audited. I'm still being audited.
Bro,
I'm being
audited. The IRS. You don't take advantage of your shit."
Hey, I know a lady named Miss Sue Richardson in Gulfport, Mississippi, that'll get your taxes done next week. I promise you. Whoever your account is, your account firm, whatever they've been doing since 2015, go down there to Highway 49. Miss Sue, she right next door to the
we know a lot of people. We got a lot of people. If you got that much problem, we gonna help you get your taxes back.
like,
But
man.
that joker said he don't know. He pays millions of dollars in taxes. You telling me that you are a shrewd businessman, but you don't know how much money you done paid in taxes at all. Millions of dollars. So you just give $1 million away, and whatever they don't want, they just give it back to you. That's how it works.
Yeah.
What I would really say though, man, is tonight, and I don't get high or low on debates and stuff like that because I know who I'm voting for or whatever. But tonight, in my opinion, was the first time that Biden truly held his own when it came to the issues. When he actually addressed and delivered a plan. He also wasn't being interrupted every single moment. And when he was, again, the moderator made it so that he had the opportunity to speak on it without silence. And I think that he delivered tonight in the manner that you would want to see some a line of demarcation between him and Trump, and what you have, or the lack thereof of what you have in Trump, versus what at the very least is a serviceable option in a tough time, being that we in the middle of a damn pandemic in 2020 and a recession.
CJ, I don't know you, but when I first came on and I heard you talking, you was talking cash Noah, like you were playing the dozen or something. And then you just started talking. That was fucking brilliant what you just said. I'm like,
I appreciate it. I'm a bad motherfucker, man.
That was dope. I don't even want to talk no more. I want to get off. I'm not worthy to be on this right here.
I think what Agent Orange has shown is that you can be a rich person and not be professional, and not be educated, not be intelligent at all. And what we just saw was what a person was supposed to do. Are you talking about white folk? Yeah, I mean, what he has shown that when you are in leadership, no matter if a person voted for you or supported you or not, you are there to do the service and the duties which come with that position. He can't separate it. It's like, you no longer understand that there is no Democrat, Republican, there is no this. You are the leader of everybody. When your ass said at first that you were going to get, what was it, 2 years ago, he was going to get in contact with the president of Puerto Rico. He actually stated that. Now understanding that you are the president of Puerto Rico. So he's shown that what we've known forever about entitlement and money and how the system works differently for people that look like him, especially with money, than it does for anybody else. Now, have Biden benefited from privilege? Yeah, I'm quite sure. But
what white man ain't benefited from white privilege?
Well, I'm saying he's learned that I know what the fuck I need to do and need to say, and what I need to make sure that's a priority if I want to make sure that I'm going to be sitting in this seat. 45 ain't. He hadn't done that because, again, if you would go get a book, matter of fact, pull up any book right now and look at the definition. Chuck, pull it up on the screen. The definition for narcissistic behavior and sociopath. He is a narcissistic sociopath. He lacks the capacity to show empathy for anybody else. He never talked about how sad he felt. He never talked about how he hurt. He never paused for emotions. None of this ever happens to him. He lacks it. He lacks the ability to show emotions. The other part of narcissistic, he always talk about how great he is, what he has done, and all the things that he can do, and how his is a lot better than everybody else's. Clearly shows that he is not a stable individual to hold anybody's office, none less than the commander in chief. But who supports him are the folks that stay in power, and his ignorance benefit them. And that's why you ain't hearing a lot about that. If it was been anybody else, that especially if it had been Joe Biden, when they saying Joe Biden is not competent to hold the position, but you got somebody like him that's holding the position, those two are in comparison.
Yeah.
To share the screen, I'm gonna have to hook up my other monitor.
Oh, don't worry about it, Chuck. Don't worry about
it. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up, you know how they always do the fact check.
Yeah,
there were a number of things that the folks at CNN are paying attention to. What do y'all think are some of the false things that the President Agent Orange tried to push through tonight?
Well, that he's done more for
coronavirus going away. I know was one of them. He kept trying to say that coronavirus is going away, and
Obama, him getting rid of the Obamacare and having some other great, grand, beautiful insurance. He never said what it was. He had adjectives. It's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be spectacular. The greatest ever. Okay, tell us what it is.
Yeah,
and
what it includes.
He's had 4 years. Right. They don't have any insurance. And he just wants to take it away. He's going to cut it down enough to call it Trump care, right? Yep. That's what he wants to do. When Biden said Biden was going to call it Biden care, he really got perturbed at that. That struck a nerve because he doesn't want him to put his moniker, his name on it, right?
Yeah.
Biden. He doesn't want Biden on that. He wants Trump on it, just like he puts Trump all over the country on his building and stuff. So that to me was the biggest thing, and that's going to affect 20 million people. And he just, like Max said, he doesn't care. He truly does. He wants to be president again, and that's it. And if he's not president, he's gonna go to jail in New York.
Man, look,
this man want to be president for the sake of being president. Like, hey, I was a 2-term president. This shit was some cool shit to do.
He trying to save his ass right now because if as soon as they change it. And I'm telling you, the thing about it is when you talk about these red states, and so if you're talking about the devil that's Agent Orange, then the demons that lead these red states, especially in the southern states, they know what's going to happen as soon as he's sworn in, and there's a new U.S. Attorney General. What's going to happen to a lot of these situations, especially a case that we know very familiar with about money being stolen from DHS, right? So. People are going all out their way to support him, not just to support and for the sake of Agent Orange being president again, but for to save their own necks because he know where the bodies are buried and he's connected to it. So
since you mentioned that, one of the ladies that was up there with the guy who stole the money, she was right up there. I think she was number 2 or 3. Now she just got put over CPS, right? Child Protective Service.
My goodness. I think that one is right on the money in saying that the main thing that Trump doesn't care about when it comes to or doesn't like about Obamacare is the Obama part. And so I think what he wants to do is take the same thing and slap his name on it. But when you talk about the falsehoods that were spread tonight, there was a multitude of those that occurred from, let's just start with the coronavirus. One, him saying that he didn't understand or didn't have knowledge of it at the time in which he contracted the disease, right? He's had knowledge of it since January. We all are aware that he's had knowledge of it. Tapes have been released that have revealed how much knowledge he had of it. The fact that he understood that it was airborne at the time. The fact that he's leaning upon, our early, like Dr. Fauci's early knowledge of a disease that was still very new at the time. And the fact that they were at one point in time saying that it wasn't necessary to wear a mask. Later, they continued to study the virus, determined that the virus was something that could be airborne or that the molecules or whatever you want to call them could be,
particles, right?
Right, the particles could float in the air, and they said, well, this is something that is airborne. We do need you to wear a mask and and the other person to wear a mask because it prevents you from spreading the disease to other people, and it prevents them from spreading it to you. So if you both wear a mask, then both of you are reducing opportunities. We just saw today that in the state of Mississippi, the disease is being spread by white non-mask wearers. This is what we learned here in Mississippi today. This disease is being perpetuated. This was on CNN reported today. Doctors from UMC were talking about specifically white non-mask wearers. Why are many of them not wearing masks? Because mask wearing has been politicized as a point of I'm supporting Trump by not wearing my mask and spreading this damn disease. And you go further with what he said. He said that teachers were not susceptible to contracting this from students when, like, some of the first people that passed, some of the first people that passed in the state of Mississippi were teachers and were workers that were working for the city. The first known case that I knew about was a case in Hattiesburg, and that resulted in someone's passing. There was a teacher in Jackson from Callaway, I believe, that lost her life to coronavirus. She was only in her 30s, and so the notion that this is something that teachers are not susceptible to is a dangerous falsehood.
Right.
And there were so many things. Like, we can go point by point from situation to situation and break down the many fallacies that were perpetuated in what Trump said during the
even look at the end. Look at the end. President Agent Orange, his wife, walked on stage, mask on.
Yep.
Vice President Biden's wife came on stage, mask. That matched her dress.
Yeah, she coordinated.
And Joe put his little mask on, right?
Right.
Trump did not even reach for a mask.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
I think he might have reached for a handkerchief, if I remember correctly. He might have reached for a handkerchief and he did a dab, like, let me wipe the little crack out my mouth.
Right.
But
he had to wipe the corona out.
Yeah, but here's the thing and I told Shallon this. I said this is the average white man in Mississippi right now. And me, I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I was in a particular part of the coast today, and I did a sound setup. I'm in Gaucher at an event that's very worthy. I agree with everything that the event is doing, but I noticed a very, very clear difference in everybody that was out there, and I could cut it straight down one side versus the other. I'm talking about it might have been 55% no mask, and then the few that had mask on that fell onto the other side. The majority of the folks that looked like me had on masks, and then there were a few other folks that didn't look like me that had on masks. But everybody else that was out there, police officers, people in uniform, first responders of all sorts, no mask.
Well,
so let me tell you this, Chuck. So UMC, when they talk about folks wearing masks, they need to make sure their employees wear masks.
I drove by a hospital today, folks.
I was in there with my uncle in the emergency room, and I had to correct a large white male nurse who came in to give him meds while he's in the ER, and said they don't have to wear gloves to pass out meds. I said, well, in my experience in teaching in health, especially with teaching CPR and first aid, you wear gloves and you act like everyone has HIV until you know better. This man just came in through the ER. You don't know what they have, but you're going to give him meds out your nasty ass hand. So it's a cultural thing. The Asian doctor came in. Yeah, everything is different. We got to wear these stupid masks. I said, but masks save lives, right? This is what your physicians are believing because, like you said, it's being politicized. What just happened today and yesterday? Jay went to go vote yesterday, coming from the courthouse in downtown Jackson. White man sees her walking down the street with her mask on and starts shaking his head and laughing because she's wearing a mask. She was parked outside Dollar Tree today. Every black person came in there had on a mask. White boy from Rankin County with all the stickers in the back window of folks pissing on the mask and everything else jumps out of the truck and runs inside Dollar Tree and come back out. It is against their culture, just like they believe when they say red-blooded Americans, they look at themselves and they believe that anything that don't allow them to do what they want to do is infringing upon their right and upon their freedoms.
Right.
And these political folks that are supporting the ideology, when you have someone in leadership that says football is essential, football is essential. When you got schools around here that are in quarantine, high school and college, due to students contracting coronavirus, that show you it's but this is just a clear example of many things in our society that is based on their cultural belief.
Right. I mean, like, Mac, if you, I mean, like, obviously, small government has been the calling card of racists for a long time. When you go back to the days of the Sovereignty Commission there in Mississippi, states' rights, no big government. These are things that they've pushed for, and masks are an extension of that. It's also an extension of identity politics. And if you really want to break it down to brass tacks, y'all, this is as much about many other people who perpetuate and identify or relate or support both Trump and what Trump stands for today are the same people who in their minds are using terminology like race war and things like that, and phrases that directly relate to an us against them mindset. And very much so, the idea and understanding, they understand that this disease is killing us more than it's killing them. So even if in a passive manner, me not wearing a mask might make you more susceptible, or somebody in your community more susceptible to dying, it doesn't affect nor concern me because I am not the one being most afflicted. But let it be a conversation about things like abortion or things that are going to reduce their population.
Yeah.
In that instance, then you're going to see a great deal of pushback against politicizing it and manipulation in how that narrative is told.
Now, you mentioned you said small government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, last time I checked, the conversation we had the other night where the 65A amendment, 65A, not 65, but 65A, calls for the supervision of medical marijuana, and it calls for $250,000.
Yeah.
At the oversight of the legislature.
Right.
Now, is that the definition of small government, or that's government inserting themselves into where usually, the free and open market or entrepreneurs would find themselves carving out their own lane and saying like, I'm a create this product, right, and if my product is as such where people want it, then they can come buy it, right? But like, which one of y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna do small government or y'all gonna do big government?
It goes back to the culture thing of entitlement. You do what you want to do. Right. It's I always say they lie about the lie they lied about. So it's basically whatever benefits them, that's what's right. Regardless if they turn around and contradict something they just said that's similar to that about something different. So you telling me the same doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners that give us flu shot, pneumonia shot, and you're going to use to administer the vaccine that you just found are educated enough, but they're not educated enough to make a decision. Look at 45. I'm like, they're not educated enough to make a decision on who get medical marijuana.
Sasha is my guy, man. That dude is so funny to me.
All right.
He's crazy. Yeah. He's just plain crazy.
Indeed.
But what you saying, but again, you can't. I said the Stasha is my guy. He's just plain crazy. He's just crazy. The guy with the mask on. But to spin off what Mac was saying, that's exactly right. They want their cake and eat it too, right? They say they're for small government and church and God and country, but then they got a guy who is a draft dodger, right? They got a guy who is a philanderer, got kids all over the town, got women all over the place, grabbing women by the pee, doing everything, cussing folks out, bullying folks, and they say, oh, well, that's just, he's a businessman, he's not a politician. Well, no, that's poor character, right?
Yeah.
And so what I say when I'm having my discussions, Reagan and Bush 1 are rolling over in their grave. This is terrible. For me to wish for Reagan and Bush, that's to let you know something right now. This is terrible. This man is horrible, right?
Boy, when black folks start thinking about Bush,
it's like Daddy Bush, man.
I mean, George H.W. Herbert.
Now let's think about it, man. Trump whole family basically has had coronavirus as a result of this politicization. He Melania, and Barron. But the things that they have access to that none of us have access to are experimental drugs, experimental treatments. These things aren't available to Trump supporters. If you are in Rankin County, your ass ain't about to get no experimental. When you rock out with your mask out, you ain't about to get no experimental treatment. In fact, Chris Christie didn't have an experimental. I mean, he may have had something that saved his life, but Chris Christie sat in the hospital for 7 days before he was able to get his thing done. So, it's certainly something that plays a.
Yeah. Hey, y'all hear that music?
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to make sure we had like a little sound bed, expanding the production. But CJ, did you just go on mute or?
Yeah, I went on mute.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So there were some very direct questions about Trump being xenophobic, or I guess Biden tried to get Trump to respond to the claims that he's xenophobic. And every question that Trump answered tonight, the dude he never answered the question. It never directly responds to a question that is being asked. And what do y'all think about the question that the moderator that she posed to him about race in America?
About he done the most for black folks?
Yeah. And I know we kind of talked about it at the beginning, but yeah, let's jump into that. When he called him Abraham Lincoln before that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I live in South Jackson, and so I said I was gonna move. I'm trying to move, and whatever he did for me, I don't think I got it just yet. I'm waiting. I don't know anybody. Maybe Chuck or maybe Mac. Maybe you, CJ. It's
I ain't got my Trump. I ain't get mine. I ain't get no Trump.
Let me ask you this: do you know anybody that's black that has benefited directly from the president of the United States?
Yep. All the tools that he paid to be in his rallies.
What's the name? Deborah? What's the name?
Station Dash.
We see Station Dash.
Every black person that tried to snuggle up close to him that took an L in the end. Diamond
hard L.
Yeah.
Diamond and Silk had the revelation that they said Fox News racist. What? No, not Diamond and Silk now. Not
Diamond and Silk. You talking about the two black chicks with the weave and the wigs and the Oh no, they didn't.
They said, and so I mean, I don't personally know anybody who has actually benefited from anybody black that has actually directly benefited from Trump's stint in the White House. Trump likes to often tout himself as one who has benefited the economy, particularly referring to the stock market as the way in which he's done so. I was benefiting in the stock market before Trump.
Right.
And I was going to understand how to navigate those waters, whether he was the president or anyone else was the president. And so I don't attribute anything that has happened with the stock market to Trump's doing. In fact, the market was down just when the pandemic started, prior to the stimulus
Yep.
packages taking place, and it's down right now for the last
Yep.
since last Thursday or Friday. It's been down, trending downward for the last 6 or 7 days. So depending on what it does Friday, there has been a significant pullback. These are things that obviously the everyday American may not realize or understand. The thing that many of us need to understand is that, as Biden stated tonight, many of our livelihoods are not directly impacted or affected by how the stock market is doing at the time on an everyday basis. When we're trying to figure out what we're going to eat at night, when we're trying to figure out whether or not our children are going to be able to go to school, or if I'm going to have to if I can't go to work, or if
They ain't looking at the NASDAQ ticker when it's time to figure out how we finna pay the power bill.
Right, like if I'm gonna be on Zoom for my job, or if my son is gonna have to be on Zoom for class, because both of us only have one computer, one internet, and somebody's gonna have to.
We consume the internet from our phone.
Right, the lack of access to Wi-Fi at a time when literally you cannot leave your home without essentially risking your life every time you step outside the door. As a result of these things, these are all things that I think the everyday American person, no matter whether you are in South Jackson, or you are in the Bible Belt, or you are in Middle America, in the Midwest, Iowa, in the cornfields, these are things that our people are feeling directly impacted by, and they're not thinking about their 401k right now. I don't think that's what's on their minds, because those are the things you think about when your stomach is hurting, or when your child's stomach is hurting.
So since the pandemic hit, we've been out in forefront. We started with helping with Antron starting to feed the students. We done things with the homeless. We've done things with the elderly. We've just recently been helping to get out food boxes. We've done a lot of things usually around food. Why? Because matter of fact, Claude's friend Perry, we just had a discussion a couple of weeks ago. He said, man, I didn't realize how real it was that people were sitting in line 3 and 4 hours to get a food box. Like, this is people that work. They are people that work every day and have enough money barely to pay the utilities and bills, and don't have enough money for food. While someone is sitting around playing games, playing a bad game of political, I won't even say chess, got to be checkers. And they are not, in race plays a major part in the economy, because who they see that being affected the most. When you look at it and you see that low-income Black families or working class families are being affected the most, more than anybody else, then you're like, oh, well, ain't nothing to do. Why did you force people back to work into the factory without having proper gear? Well, who was it? Who makes up the largest population of the factories? All right. So you're getting literally killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone by not doing anything, and then also taking away the restraints and forcing the government back open, to force the economy back open. Because one thing about us is the African Americans are what? We are more consumers than property owners. So you start talking about investing in the stock market, we're talking about simple stuff: owning gas stations, owning stores, owning liquor stores, owning anything that generate revenue for you and your family. And how we were affected. How were small businesses affected? Black businesses affected? Chuck and I put our application in when the stimulus package stuff first hit. Was like that April, that first part when they first started giving out the money for the support small Black businesses. We didn't hear nothing from anybody until the end. They gave all the money to the millionaires first. And how they categorize a small business, 500 employees or less. So what about the people with 2 employees? It's like he pushed her ass. It really did.
Look at this shit, man.
It really like he pushed her ass. Watch this.
Look, watch it.
All right, let me go. Get your ass off this goddamn stage. Shit.
He pushing the wrong one right there.
Look, and he still
he pushing the wrong one right there. So let me just tell y'all my theory, and I'm saying it, almost say it online. He has a Russian wife, right? And y'all, if you hadn't seen the movie Salt, right, or The Sparrow, right, or they'll plant people in your life, and they'll be one person one day, and then 30 years later they're somebody else that they initially were. So my whole theory is she's a Russian spy. She's a plant, right? There's no reason other than obviously money that she would want somebody like him. And she barely speaks English. And I mean, it's the perfect setup. Everybody knows he likes Russian women. It's the perfect setup. He's the perfect mark. He is the perfect mark. And so now he's our president. And it's just, as Max said, he's a sociopath, right? And talking about the food lines, I was shocked and really saddened when I was going to work down 55 and what appeared to be a traffic jam on the highway, 55 South near Elton Road, was a extremely long line of cars in the highway to Elton Road, all the way down Elton to Terry Road, then down Terry Road for food. And so when you have somebody, and obviously this is happening all over the country, and when you have a person that doesn't care about anybody but himself, I mean, that's just sad. I mean, that could have been changed in a day, and it wasn't. It wasn't changed. And he wants to say Nancy Pelosi this, and Nancy Pelosi is not the president. Okay, he does anything he wants to do, but when
you
it comes
blame
to
certain things on Congress and the Senate,
right?
But then when the the roles are reversed, then it's why you couldn't get it done, Joe.
Right. And Joe wasn't the president, by the way.
And he made that decision. He made that comment. I hope people didn't take it the wrong way. He said, well, the difference is I'll be president this time. I'll be in charge. And it was speaking about what you were going to do about the amnesty for those 11 million people that was here and needed to get their citizenship. So it's one of those things, like I said, like a child. Yeah, I have a big head, but would you have big feet? And it's like every time you say something to him, it's like I have to respond back negatively because that's all he know, and that's his thinking capacity. He it's really, really sad, I guess, just for white racist America, especially white racist males, that this is the best you had to offer. This is what you have stooped this low to. This is your poster child for a strong white male power. This is your poster child. Someone that is badly built, that is 3 different shades of orange, and I guarantee probably don't know half of the damn places that he talking about when he started naming countries or foreign operatives and all this stuff. He don't know any of this shit. He be regurgitating whatever they told him to say, but he couldn't use it in a sentence if you told him to. This is
oh my bad. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
No, I was just gonna say I think that that a great large section, cross section of white Americans became terrified at the notion that Barack Obama could be elected in 2008. At that point, they began the process, like literally the night that that black man and that black family were announced the winners of that race. They began processing how they were going to go about doing it. We've seen so many iterations of it since that time. The Tea Party, they fucking disappeared after 2016, right? You ain't heard nothing about them since Trump's election. But for the 8 years that Obama was in office, they were pushing against every single thing about the government. Since that time, obviously they become bolder and bolder to the extent that, and he always seems to remember this whole false narrative about him saying that the first time he encountered or was introduced to the notion of Black Lives Matter when he heard them saying something like pigs in a blanket frying like bacon. That's a falsehood first and foremost. But he never seems to remember the marches in Charlottesville where white men with tiki torch were saying that Jews would not replace them. This was after he had been elected president. He was still angry. They were still upset that Tea Party mentality had mutated into something even more. White sheets had been replaced with red "Make America Great Again." right?
Right.
And so, like now, I think that white sheets are being replaced with "I ain't wearing no mask," and
Yeah.
I think that that's essentially an extension of that, rather than the mask on, it's mask off. If you about that life these days, and so what we're seeing is, yeah, like this is uh, their pushback against all of the things that we've articulated as frustration, all marginalized people, whether you be black, indigenous, Hispanic or Latinx community, a woman, uh, non-binary, all of these things that coalesced in the time during Obama's progression, and the country started going more to the left than it had been toward the center with Bush. Uh, you're seeing this is that last these are that it's that last pull in the tug of war to try to hold on to what they see slipping away. It's the last chance, and it scares me that black men with alignment. If 18% of black men see themselves aligning with the mentality that poor whites poor whites are holding on to, because what Chris Rock said is real as hell, right? One of the things that a poor one thing that this is what Chris Rock said, and I hope I don't get in trouble on Facebook for it, but I'm gonna say it.
Did I tell you, Chuck?
One thing that a poor white man with a penny hate, ain't nothing he hate more. A poor white man with a penny hate is than a nigga with a nickel, and I think that's a lot of where that fear lies, and it also lies in something that is more in the imagination than it is reality. There's never been a time in history where we stood around their ancestors' lynched bodies and took pictures, right?
Yeah.
If that shit hadn't been stopped in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, then in 2020 we would be seeing that shit on Instagram. They be taking selfies around bodies today, and so that's the thing that we have to understand is their fears are imagined fears, and not something that comes from a real place where they have data or something that they can refer back to historically or
There's
tangible.
no epigenetic trauma in there.
Exactly. Where our fears are not imagined, most of these marginalized peoples aren't imagined. The Trail of Tears is real. The transatlantic slave trade is real. The marginalization of women is real. And so because we understand that these things are real, what we are arguing for are real things that we've been fighting for the last 400 years and beyond. What they are fighting for now is just to hold on to the ability to doing what they were doing for the last 400 years.
Right.
So if you break down, go ahead, Claude.
And since you said that, Truck, the
epigenetic
genetic trauma, to have a different train of thought and to slow at least my brain down, if they don't think that they can catch the coronavirus via not wearing a mask or whatever, right? Do you think they believe in that trauma? If they put their own selves and their own families at risk, if I don't care about myself, how can I care about you? Right. And
I wasn't even throwing that out there for the throwing that particular term out there to try to get them to believe in it. It's something that, all right, the trauma of the parents or the forefathers.
Right.
But the flip side of it is this is the lack of humanity or the disregard of humanity that their forefathers had for people that looked a particular way or came from a particular part of the world has been passed on. So it's like the trait that they have genetically or that is perpetuated through cultural norms for them. On the other side of it is us having trauma when a little black boy in a neighborhood in his yard shooting hoops, and when he sees the police, he does that's trauma, and that's what we dealing with. And then these motherfuckers they just want to continue to disregard humanity and not understand, like, all right, that's a traumatic experience, because if I don't stop and be unseen as a little black boy in America, then I have the potential to lose my life by being outside shooting basketball, something that I just want to do because it's fun.
What you know we talked about, Chuck, is two things. One, we talked about on Nightcap knowledge in environmentally induced behavior, how the house and the area and the culture you grew up in basically creates your thinking capacity and your understanding and the way you see things outside of your house. The other thing is white supremacy. Just being honest about white supremacy. White supremacy basically say is, I'm gonna take the most educated, well-to-do, affluent black man and put him beneath the most inbred, not having nothing, never done anything, no teeth, anything you could think of negative, and put it under that white man. And that's how they see white supremacy, that there is no black man that can compare or is superior to any white man, no matter how they might look at him in the class and pecking order. He might be the white guy they make fun of and everybody tell stories about, and as all you do is talk about him, but you see him as being more superior than the most intelligent, rich black man. That is true white supremacy. And we've seen that has been woven into our society through rules, policies, and procedures, because it's based and created out of their cultural norms and what they feel comfortable about. Stuff like, oh, well, we're okay. Oh, it's about safety. Yeah, they should be able to do that. But then when it comes to other things that they don't agree with, they have a problem, right? 9/11 passed. You believe we need all of these extra safety precautions that only were utilized most of the time on people of color. But you get pulled over by a state trooper or a police officer and you jump out your truck on Highway 55 fussing at them. You can't stand to have a ticket and being challenged by how fast you go, but you are okay with folks' privacy being invaded just because they are of a different culture and a different race. The people that support Agent Orange are the same people that think that that type of stuff is okay. And they have woven themselves to that government. The scariest thing about 2008, Mississippi almost was 10% before becoming a blue state. In 2012, Haley Barbour said that we have to reframe the Republican Party. Oh, real shit. In 2004, after all the work we did in Mississippi Move, we had an invitation. Someone asked us to come help with Haley Barbour campaign because they recognized the work that we were doing in the black community.
It was like, oh, we got to get them niggas right there.
And now the sad thing about us as black folks, didn't know black folks that was in position ever reach out to us. But a fat white man of the Republican Party
losing the same election. Same folk doing the same thing, losing the same election for the past ever.
That's a whole nother can of worms that we definitely don't have to get to at some point.
Show.
But man, you said it right just then. Like, essentially, man, what we have been fighting for, we as in black folk, marginalized folk, fighting for equity.
Say what?
2/5 is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, we've been fighting for equity. They've been fighting to maintain the delusion of supremacy.
Yeah.
Fighting to maintain the illusion of supremacy. To maintain all that comes with that, those direct benefits and those indirect benefits that come with that, and that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid that if in the same positions, if given the same opportunities, if given equity in this country, that we will do unto them what has been done to us.
The greatest fear.
Like, there is nothing that indicates that would be the case at this point. And I don't think that that's really our desire. I think for the most part, the desire is to be left alone. So when they talked about what they talked about tonight, it's always kind of strange to hear one of our team members said, to hear 2 70-year-old white men talking about the talk with
that was the question. Yeah.
Right. That's an interesting dynamic to try to overcome. But I know that Trump being in office and appointing 100 white male federal judges does not bode well for those of us who are coming before those courts, because the majority of the folks that's coming before those courts on criminal matter, because of the way that this system is designed, they're gonna look like us, or they're gonna be black and they're gonna be brown. And I know that there were no women appointed, there were no black people appointed.
Right.
So these are things that we have to take into consideration. Is he's ensuring he's doing what is necessary to hold on to this design in any manner that he can, so that even if they were to lose their grasp on the on the executive branch or on the legislative branch, at the very least, they have in perpetuity the power to still dictate policy from the judicial branch. And so those are things to think about.
CJ, I'm telling you something you just said, and I'll tell people, if you watch, Chloe might know where I'm going with this. There's a season show come on called Shooter. It's about a Marine sniper. And it's season 1, season 2. In season 3, you see they try to figure out about this group, that's this secret group that's been out here moving around doing things and to so-called balance the government, what they have been up to the whole time. Well, the whole time what their goal was to seat the Supreme Court justice that was a part of their group, part of their so-called secret society, where they can cast rulings in their favor. That was their overall goal. The overall goal, they said the executive branch don't run the country. They were like the legislature branch don't run the country. Everything is decided where? Judicial branch. And what they have been doing was moving chess pieces the whole time to make sure they had people that represent their ideology that was sitting in those seats, and they were going through everything they could to make sure that person was sitting in that seat so they can control how court cases came out. Because when you start looking at our history for systemic change, it has been done in the Supreme Court. When it comes to every act that we can think of, it's done went into the court system. So if you're controlling the court system, when you start talking about things simply as mandating healthcare, mandating different sentences, or fighting voter ID, or simple stuff that give black folks the same opportunities as their white counterparts, the judicial system is going to be the last stop for that.
Right. I agree.
The judicial system control the outcome.
Right. Brown versus Board of Education was 10 years before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, or the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So those are things that are directly so segregation was initially and first addressed by the Supreme Court. And the determination was first made that, separate but equal and all deliberate speed were illegalities there. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Even things like gerrymandering are coming before the court right now. Even even Obama itself, how we have access to healthcare is coming before the court. And so these are things that they understand. That's why they're pushing for this later to be approved within the next week or two. But we could talk later about how the rules are bent when they have power versus how they engage when they don't have power, which is the reason why they want to continue to maintain a position of power, because they know they're gonna do whatever they want to do with the rules when it's them in power. Even if and I think they perceive that that's what we would do. I think we would be as fair as we are under the current circumstances. But
I'm gonna say this, and some people might not agree. I really don't give a shit. Part of our problem is we wouldn't do anything. Part of our problem is we want to just be left alone and everything. Understand this, that's part of our issue. We just keep wanting folks to be good and everything to be all right, and we won't keep the fight going. As soon as we have seen some victory, we take our foot off the gas and we go back to smiling while they still plotting. When sooner or later you turn your back. Part of our issue is that's all we do. We want to wait till things be better and somebody to make it better for us, and then we can go back to living our lives just perfect. One of our friends that spoke at our Man Talk when we first got started, that was Brother Freeman Watkins. He was sitting there, he was talking about being in prison. And a young white guy was 18 years old. He said, I don't understand what the big deal is about going to prison. for 10 years. All you gotta do is just sit there and do your time. And Brother Freeman said, I know my time is up, but I gotta address this. Do you think they're gonna let you sit there and do your time? For us as black people, no matter who's in charge, do you think they just gonna sit there and let you be successful and be independent? When you're independent and free, that means you control your own destiny and control your own family and your own legacy. Do you really think, no matter who's elected, that folks are just going to sit there and say, oh, look at the Negroes over there making money and being happy? That's not going to happen. It's not. So we're going to have to prepare our minds and prepare our lifestyle for that. That if Biden wins, we got hell. If Biden loses, we got hell. We have to figure out, listen to the question that we're asked, and what can we do on a local level for one to dictate not only the local government, but our own community interests on how we can sustain ourselves. Because when you can take care of yourself, they can't control you. That's one of the main things why they don't want us to be economically free, because they can't control you. And when they can't control you, then they have no way to control what you do, and that's going to infringe upon their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I say we got to be prepared regardless.
Oh yeah.
We're waiting for things to just automatically one day be nice and pretty for us. That shit ain't gonna happen.
Hey, I always bring the funny stuff in, but look,
hey, listen.
Look what Sabir said.
Who is that?
That's Sabir. Sabir, Trump administration. We've done more for Black Americans than any other president except Lincoln.
Bruh.
He got all the folks from Dear Black People, Dear White People, whatever the show is.
Listen, you know, it's an incredible delusion that Trump lives under, but it's one in which his base is seduced by.
Oh man, they love it, man. They don't. His rhetoric and the delivery, excites them.
They're not. But, go ahead, one. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that they seduced themselves, right? Mm-hmm. They were ready for this. They were ripe for this. You know. Yeah. It's like when you meet a girl, and I don't know if who's all married. Well, I know who married. Raise your hand if you married. When you met a girl in the past and you thought it was your smooth words and cologne and great smelling breath that got her in the boudoir when she was ready to go 20 minutes before you was ready to go. But you thought it was you. It wasn't you.
She chose you.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real analogy.
But basically, they've been here the whole time. They've been waiting for a leader to say the things that they've been thinking the whole time.
Yes.
That's all they've been waiting on. Finally, now we got somebody that identify with us that sit in the highest seat in the land. So now the little racist bastard in Mississippi can feel better about himself when he can look up there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and see that's my leader.
Right.
He thinks the same way I think.
And the reality is his leader don't give a damn about him. And like
at all.
And I think that's the difference between black folk and them, is they believe that when they put them in there, the people that they putting in actually do like care. Whereas our reality is like you said before, we understand that whoever we dealing with, we're gonna be dealing with something. Right. But what war are we trying to fight? You know what I mean? What enemy are we willing to deal with? You know what I mean? And I think that in this particular instance, I think it's one where we understand, like, you know, that's a different type of animal that we dealing with. Anytime you have a president who essentially in a passive way takes the stance of a George Wallace or a Bull Connor in telling known delusional white supremacists to stand back and stand by. People who have within the last month or so shot and killed protesters, shot and killed, like have actually acted upon. You see he's seen video of these men preparing in PT Cruisers to unleash violent attacks on government officials, in state government officials like the governor of Michigan. So he understands what type of sentiment he's fostering.
And we talking about George Wallace, the former governor of Alabama, not George Wallace, the comedian.
Right.
And so it's been numerous times that you all have said something, and it's already been at the forefront of my mind to say it, and then you'll say it. So I'm like, wow, everybody's right on point, at least as far as I'm concerned. So since you said that, CJ, do you think on election day or the day after there's going to be violence? Have you thought about this? And have you thought about what your plan of action, what you're going to do? I know, Mac, you probably have, but as far as family, like emergency plan, meet me by the so-and-so, I think on that day, me personally, that's the day you need to know where everybody is.
Yeah.
Right. That ain't the day you roam around, or the day after, rather. Right. You don't be roaming around on November 3rd, November 4th. Let me just know where you are for those days. Stay near the house, and then we'll work it out from here. We'll sit home and hunker down and watch the news. Not only that, but we need to have a network of people that we talk to, right? That say that you can make sure they're okay, you're okay, check up on each other. And finally, you need to have another way of communication besides cell phone, which is, it may be email, right? And that may be something that you can do or we can do, but there should be some, because you don't know what's going to happen to the network. Everybody depends on their phones. And if I'm going to do a hit, right, first thing I'm killing is the phones. I'm killing your phone.
Communication lines.
I mean, that's articles of war, ain't it?
But the thing what he's just saying is one of the major problems for us as Black folks is fixing. We've been brainwashed for so many years about this thing called conspiracy theory that we haven't seen the real conspiracy happen before our eyes, before our lifetime and during our lifetime. And we refuse to believe that folks will actually do that shit. We done seen movies, we done read books about history, but we don't want to prepare and don't want to believe it. And because we won't believe it, we won't get what we need to do or learn what we need to learn to prepare ourselves for that, because folks think you are overreacting. Folks think you're overreacting because you got a generator, because you got water. How many times you got to be in a flood or a tornado to say, I'm going to get some rain boots, a raincoat, be prepared. We don't want to believe that. We don't want to believe that. We believe that everything's going to be okay because it's going to require some accountability out of us to say, we're going to have to do something better. I need to know what Chuck is. I need to know, we need to have a game plan. We need to know how to defend ourselves or where we need to go. That's where our mindset is. But we don't want to believe that it's going to get to that point. And if it does, we believe somebody else is going to fight the fight for us. Yeah. That ain't going to happen. They might not be able to get to you.
You're right in the sense that I think that we as people believe that other people are inherently good. Like that's what we believe. We want to believe that people are good. When the reality is that people have shown us who they can be. My father just, as he was walking out the room, he said, look no further than Tulsa, Oklahoma, if you want to understand what folks are capable of. Look no further than Tulsa, Oklahoma. Look to Philadelphia to the move bombing. We understand that like their terrorism is a real terrorism. And so what Juan said is really on point. And like, I ain't gonna lie to you, man, when you said it just then, like I really had to think about it. Like, man, I've really been sitting here looking forward to November 3rd and just voting. And I have not been thinking about this in a manner in which I should be, from the standpoint of like, they are really going to be, we don't know what they're capable of if this is how they can get over a mask. If this is if they can prepare for like they preparing for war over asking them or mandating that they wear masks for their own safety and the safety of others, then what are they capable of?
Exactly.
Not get what they want.
And remember what happened in 2008, right? In 2008, though, in the week before the election, those same folks that you thought was good folks and shook hands with you at work, everything was fine. The day after the election, the same ones that didn't want to speak to you because President Obama won, right? Simple things about that.
Folk at the
Now,
grocery store mad.
and they couldn't understand about racism.
Right.
That because you happen to be of African American descent and a man that's of African and American descent happened to be president, they were mad at you and didn't want to speak to you at all. But when you see racist shit that happened halfway across the world or across the state, you can't understand why I'm upset. And go again, they lie about the lie they lied about. And that situation, if you think they happened like that when he won in 08, what you think gonna happen if 45 don't win on November 3rd? What's November 4th gonna be like?
Whew.
And we are refusing to believe what could happen. We're refusing to believe it. Get all the shit you need that weekend of Halloween instead of buying all the little nasty ass candy and running around here and shit. Get all the food, all the stuff you need, and sit your ass still. Shop within your neighborhood, especially if you live within a black neighborhood.
Talk about food desert.
Get everything you need because you don't know what's going to happen. You think these folks might be above destroying trucks to keep them from delivering food? You think they're above any of that? We know. Pack up all the water you can handle. We need to do those things, and it's not a panic scare. It is a real life fact that you can't put anything past the devil, what he would do to prove to the world that he does not exist.
They were going to kidnap the governor, white governor of freaking Michigan.
Right.
They're going to kidnap her, put her on trial, and then most likely kill her. Right.
Right.
So
because you don't like what she thinks.
Yeah, if I wanted to keep my candidate in office and he happened to be white, and I think the majority of black people or people of color are gonna vote against him on election day, what am I gonna do? If I had 1,000 dedicated people, what am I gonna do? To start terror, to start fear.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna drive by a heavily populated poll that's populated mainly by people of color, and I'm gonna shoot it up, right? What will that cause?
Mass panic, make everybody stay at home.
Right. If I shoot up 10 of them, if I shoot 10 of them, if I just drive by and shoot in the area, I'm gonna have to shoot it up. That's gonna cause mass panic, and what are people not gonna do? They're not gonna go vote.
Exactly.
Right.
So let me say this. Let me say this. So like, and we don't have to answer this on air. But I guess it's like one of those rhetorical questions. There are things in place where people can be poll watchers. You can be there are official poll watchers, and then there are unofficial poll watchers. Like you got people that are inside that are conducting the business, and they are for lack of a better term, deputized by the circuit clerk's office, your county clerk or whatever, to make sure that the election area is on the up and up, right? Then you have folks that are outside, and people can't be campaigning within a certain radius of the entryway, right? So what does it look like if we have poll watchers? And who's going to volunteer to be a poll watcher?
And what you're saying, basically, as long as you're standing out there in the same area with those that are working for the candidate, because the thing is preventing them from even getting into the poll. Yeah,
I mean, a set of eyes will help out a whole lot, man.
A set of eyes that know who to call and when to call. That's all you need. When people ask about security guards at different businesses, that security guard job is when you see something that don't look right, pick up the phone and call then. You don't have to intervene, don't have to act, you don't even have to look like you know what's happening. You can send out a text message, whatever you need to do. But I do think those areas, we experienced this in 2018, that have had those voter suppression challenges in their polling precinct, especially if they're in those highlighted areas that are considered to be very racist. You need to have a plan in place. You need to, because this is real. You can't put anything past them, and it's going to be too late to say wish it coulda. No, what else are you waiting on? You need to be ready. You need to be ready, and you need to know what the plan will be and who you're going to call. And
Now, since you said call, but since you said call, you need to make sure beforehand that your police department is equipped enough to answer that call, because they may just be another day for them. They may need to have they need to have ample manpower at work, pay overtime, pay time and a half, pay whatever you're going to pay. But so these are things that we assume that your police chief, your police supervisor, whoever has this handled, and that's not the case. That's not even close to the case.
And what you just said, that's another major question, depending on what county and where you at.
Right.
It's not saying they might come quickly to your aid, depending on who you are, if you call it. When they already know Jim and the boys riding down through there.
Right.
Yeah, we on the way.
Officer had on a Trump hat, right? Trump mask in Miami.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man,
so,
that's like it's really important, like, for us to think about the fact that, like, we literally are just 1 or 2 generations removed from these experiences happening. Like, Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner happened 60 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
Medgar Evers was killed 60 years ago. Less than, maybe 55, 60 years ago. Vernon Damer, bombed 60 years ago. 4 little girls, church, bombed 60 years ago. That's a grandfather or a parent away from, we are a 1 generation removed from people that some of which are still alive being capable of doing things like this. And so
cultivating the next generation of people that can do stuff like that.
Yeah. So we don't say any of this to for people to be afraid, but yeah, we really must be prepared to face the challenges that coronavirus presents, as well as the potential challenges that the vitriol that is the mindset of the white supremacists attempting to hold on to that delusion, understanding what that is capable of. That's capable of walking into a church, praying with you, and then shooting the church up. That's capable of shooting a Walmart up. That's capable of, so much. And so we do really have to understand and appreciate that that's a real threat. Freedom ain't free, fight.
Aim at teeth.
Hey, we got it.
Fellas, I think we've had a fruitful conversation. I think we've also given people some actionable items of what they can do for Election Day. Thereafter, what to prepare for in the event of an emergency. We also put out some questions that need answers. And I do know that there are a number of organizations out there that are preparing notaries, specifically the People's Advocacy Institute, Mississippi Move, One Voice Mississippi, they're prepared notaries to make sure that in the event that you need an absentee ballot notarized, we'll be able to have those folks dispatch a notary to you. But I think we've opened up another opportunity for people to insert themselves and not necessarily have to be a notary or to be a driver to get people to the polls, but we do also need folks just to be eyes. So if you're headed to vote, or if you've already cast your absentee ballot and you want to stay safe, you might want to get you a lawn chair, and you can sit out there, with a vote sign and just say thank you for voting. But ultimately, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the polling precinct and the polling place for people of the various counties of Mississippi and around the country, but specifically we talk about Mississippi because that's where we are. We want to make sure that the Mississippians are safe, and if you see something, say something.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that? Well, I know now since we've had this conversation, I'm just gonna make regular posts on at least Facebook and talk to some folks about kind of the steps, not too lengthy, what we need to be doing on those days, just to be aware of. Right? Don't go in there thinking you vote just a regular voting day. You're gonna walk in and walk out and on the phone or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I think if we all do that and then pass that along, I think that would be really good, especially to our female. You know?
Yeah, I definitely think we need to have that network going, and I think that's a good point too. We if any women or young people need to be escorted to the polls, somebody, us, men being, people being present that are willing to ensure that they're allowed to do that. Elderly folks are able to do that without someone presenting those types of threats to them. And so I agree with you, and I'm down to do that along with whatever we need to do offline in order to make that happen. I'm down.
Well, this is one of those situations when folks talk about all the stuff that need to happen, and you don't have to have a special skill set or nothing. You just have to have the willingness to say, "Hey, man, I want to be a part of what's happening, and what can I do?" And there are strength in numbers. So we're asking folks, if you're not working, give us a call, and let's coordinate the process and definitely identify some areas where we need some people just to be at. To provide support and to be there. This is a real issue. This is a real thing. We got folks out there making real conversation and real threats, and talk about the Civil War. And I guess they need to be reminded the South lost the Civil War, in case for those who do not know, when you keep talking about starting the Civil War. And this time you have an internal fight in the Civil War in the South. And versus worry about fighting the North, you will have a whole different fight. We gotta be prepared for everything. So,
Lord, it's 2020 by Civil War.
Yeah, it's time for us to go to bed. Either get the hell out of here.
Oh no, I'm drinking my favorite brewski, my Guinness. Ain't nobody going to sleep tonight. We staying up all night.
Up all night.
LIE.
I already won like 5 times.
Man,
hey, look, I'm
gonna go to sleep right there and let us keep going. He would just close his eyes
right here.
I enjoy
Facebook and put time off about 4 hours.
We don't wake up in the morning and Facebook, they got rid of us for being too honest.
Hey, well, you know what? That's why I really didn't put it on Black with No Chaser, because I was like, man, we probably gonna end up talking.
Yeah, we might get loose with it. Yeah, I feel it. I mean, this conversation was so necessary. We talked about something that, like, even the debate what we talked about was necessary, but I think what we got into at the end, like, that's real. Like, that's what we are. And this is the first time in our lifetime that maybe some of us, because we've been insulated from whatever came along with integration and, the things that came along with that. But this is we must understand what we are up against in the way that our ancestors understood it. And for those who think that we are not our ancestors, we must be our ancestors and embrace the boldness with which they live their lives, and embrace those challenges and were fearless. Our people were fearless, and so, man, we owe them this one.
Yeah, man. And with that being said, we're gonna close this thing out. We got Alvin Garrett, song 2/5. Y'all have a good night. Get ready for Election Day. Prepare for everything beyond Election Day. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Hey, listen to the words. Listen to the words.
I was born on the 13th, spit from the bosom of bondage, separated from my own family. All these chains are like umbilical cords around me. I'm dressed like a piano, got all my fingers playing sad notes to the drum beat of the railroad. Wondering why I'm the star of this show. Freedom. I ain't supposed to be like this. I don't wanna be free like this. No, not like this. Got me screaming freedom. Should be a house with a picket fence. But why they gotta do me like this? I'm on the books, it's only 3/5. You got me working for my 2 cents. Tell me why. Why don't you see I'm fully human? How could I fight you if I'm too glad? I don't know how you could do that. You got me working for my 2 bills. Why don't you see I'm fully human? How about you say it from your pulpits? Tell everybody what the truth is. I'm a human. You tried to offend me. Tell me why you got to amend me. How long my smile gotta last? How many laws gotta pass for you to decide to friend me? You think I'm scary? It doesn't matter what I carry. Cause if I move a little fast, I might get a little blast, and you won't even try to repel me. I'm freedom. I ain't supposed to be like this. I don't wanna be free like this. No, not like this. You got me screaming freedom. Should be a house with a picket fence. But why they gotta do me like this? I'm on the books, it's only 3/5. You got me working for my 2 bills. Tell me why. Why don't you see I'm fully human? Oh, how could I fight you if I'm too late? I don't know how you could do that. I don't know, but you got
Want to appreciate y'all for tuning in. This has been a post-debate discussion. Everybody get ready to vote on Election Day. And we'll see y'all soon.
I'm working for my 2 bills. I shouldn't have to prove this to you, but I'm working for